Hi everybody, welcome to another online event with Living from Love. My name is Grace Bobeck and today I have Neelam with you. Welcome Neelam. And welcome to all of you who are watching live or who are watching the video. The theme for today is the power of inquiry, how to transform our tendencies into peace. And that's really the essence of the spiritual journey, is to find peace and how to transform what's troubling us, what makes us suffer, into lasting peace. So inquiry is an important part of that, and that's why we agreed on today's topic. So Neelam is a direct disciple of Sri Halilal Punja, also known as Papaji, and the teacher of quite a few non-dual teachers who are teaching in the West. Neelam isn't available online via video very often, so this is one of the few ways that you can connect with her online live. So we're very lucky that way. And I also wanted to announce that Neelam will basically guide us in a meditation to start with. And then she'll say a little bit about the basic teachings that are underlying what she shares with us about inquiry. And then she would like it, if possible, that somebody actually joins us on the hangout and she could really go through a process of inquiry with that person, because that's the best way of demonstrating what inquiry really is about. So if you'd like to be that person, basically I will publish the link to join the hangout on the YouTube comment thread. And the moment I publish it, you basically click on it and join the hangout. If you can, make sure that you wear a headset and that you turn off the television or your computer screen where you're watching this. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of noise interference from the watch screen. So I've said enough, technically, more than usual, and I'll hand over to Neelam. So there you go, Neelam.
Yes, thank you, Grace, for hosting it, and welcome everybody. Let's just start with a little guided meditation, and we can begin by sitting. You can sit with your eyes closed or open, but eventually I will be asking you to open your eyes. So let's just start by a little silence, a little guided meditation. Just really noticing presence as you are sitting here. Silence or stillness. Or sometimes when you begin to sit, you can just notice the slowing down in your experience. Then let's also take a moment to notice the sensations that are present in your body. And here I would like you to gently, softly have your eyes open, actually. I will be speaking about it more later, but our nervous system, our brain needs that information from the present. So keep your eyes open and notice just what is present on the level of sensations right now. And sometimes you will notice that, we tend to think sensation, right? So, and I'm interested and curious about actually noticing it in the body. So you can just start with some simple things like maybe notice your feet on the ground, for example. Or maybe notice your back leaning against something, against the chair or wherever you're sitting. Or maybe just the weight of your body where you are sitting. Just notice that for a moment. Good, good, beautiful. So, and also, this is going to be a big part of the inquiry process, helping the nervous system and the brain to be here. So, we want to add some other sensory experiences, like, the information that comes through your eyes, right? Very, very direct information into your brain, into your nervous system. Sound. Maybe you're hearing some sound where you are. Maybe it's just the sound of my voice right now. It could be taste or smell, just any sensory experiences. But the visual, very important, so you can actually just look around a little bit where you are. Just take a little moment and look. And don't be in a hurry, The environment is usually familiar where you are, but still just really look around and take it in. And just notice what is it like having done that. Does that change anything in your experience? Or is it just the same as it was? Just take a moment to notice. And just another moment of silence. You can keep your eyes open or closed and just simply presence or silence here. So welcome again. You know, this little, what we just did, this little guided meditation, and that piece of sitting with the nervous system, I mean, providing the information for the brain, for the nervous system is so crucial for our ability to do inquiry. Because when the past arises, and I will speak about it a little more here in a moment, it really shows up in our physiology. When tendencies arise, you're going to notice it in your physiology. In, you know, your heart rate is going to change. There is going to be feelings, sensations, emotions. There's going to be certain kinds of thoughts. And so our physiology gets really affected by the arising past. And it's an important piece. It's not all of it, but an important piece to know how to help it, how to help your nervous system to be here, right? How to help the brain and the nervous system to be present to what arises. So we want to speak a little more about inquiry today. And, you know, inquiry is such a powerful way. It's a very direct, very powerful way to end suffering. And we want to speak a little more about how to use inquiry to transform tendencies, to transform the past and come back into peace. Because, you know, when everything is going well, right? When things are easy and you're easily at rest and you're noticing your true nature, there's no problem, right? But when past arises, when your attention gets caught in that, when you know we are engaged with the mental, physical, emotional, when there is disturbance, then we need some way, some practical, simple way to come back to resting presence. And that's what inquiry really is, right? It's a very direct way to come back to rest. So before before we practice it, or before I speak a little more about it, I just wanted to very briefly say a few things about the foundation of the teaching. Also, for you to be familiar with the words that I use. You know, everybody uses the words a little differently. We might understand different things when I say, you know, presence or okayness. So very, very briefly, I want to tell you about that. Presence, our true nature is already here. And you know, when I say presence, I used to say silence, or I used to say spaciousness, or I used to say, you know, consciousness, right? So it doesn't really matter what word we use. It just matters what the words are pointing at us towards. And the most important thing is to remember that who we are is already here. Even right now in this moment, you can simply direct your attention here. Beautiful. And so, right, there's nothing that we need to do about that. And you know, the biggest misunderstanding on the spiritual journey or on the spiritual path is that presence is going to happen in the future. And some of us have really gotten over that misunderstanding in some way already, right? But even for those who really know that, in the moment when past arises, there's often still that postponement, you know, like there's going to be some time when I'm going to know, and it's not now, right? So that's the biggest misunderstanding. We really need to watch that, you know. The other thing I can say about presence is that it's always here, always available, already here. And the only reason why we don't know this at any given moment, because really, actually, truthfully, honestly, you can, right? Like right now, again, you can check, right? You can know that at any given moment. So the only reason that doesn't happen is because our attention is not at rest. See? Our attention gets involved with what arises, mental, physical, emotional. You know? And when the attention gets caught in that, it looks like presence is not here. Right? Misunderstanding. You know, I often ask people to just clarify that for themselves, to really reframe, because when you say presence is not here, I want you to say, my attention is not at rest. My attention is not at rest. Right? Presence is here. It's always here. So when we know this, even just for a moment, right? When we are at rest here in our true nature, and there is no challenge or no conflict going on, because you know how many times there's just a conflict of not wanting what is here, right? There's the conflict. So when you are here like this for a moment, you know, you realize also that everything is okay just the way it is. That in this moment, when we are here, just check on that again, please. Right now, in this moment. Beautiful. Nothing has to change. We don't have to do anything. You know, the world doesn't have to change. Nothing. Right? So that's what I mean when I say, you know, that's a very powerful symptom of presence, okayness, right? And that's also what I mean when I say, you know, everything is okay just the way it is. Right? Because of course change, you know, in life, natural, right? Like before you know, everything is different, right? That's the way it goes. It's natural. We don't have to do anything about it either. It happens, right? But when I say everything is okay just the way it is, I mean it is okay because it has a reason here. Because it happens, right? Because where it comes from, you know, that's okayness itself. Right? And at every moment, we can actually find that. We can actually notice that. We can notice that as well. So you see, okayness then becomes a very powerful foundation for inquiry. Because you know how the mind is, right? The mind can give you any number of stories. It can tell you, yes, it's okay. No, it's not okay. Yes, it's going to be okay. No, it's not going to be okay. Yes, this is good. This is right. No, this is wrong. And so when we when we are caught in the past, when we are involved with what's happening, there's so many different layers in the mind, right? Nothing is reliable, right? We don't have a reliable source of information. However, we have okayness, right? Which is really the symptom of presence, So that's a very reliable source of information. I will speak about it in a moment. Okayness, is it okay? It's a very powerful question for inquiry. I also want to explain a little bit what I mean when I say past, because a student of mine has been telling me, like, you always speak about presence and present and what is present, but you say past and you never say anything about it. So I like to keep things very simple. So when I say a lot of things, I call past, right? I like it to simplify it, it's past. But what is past, When I say past, I really mean a misunderstanding. I mean anytime that individually or collectively we have believed that truth, presence, love, who we are, fulfillment, peace is not here. That's what I call the past. And when past arises, when I call it tendencies or patterns or vasanas, when past arises, in it, there's that really very real looking misunderstanding in which it looks like there's going to be this other time, right? There's going to be this other experience, there's going to be this other situation, there's going to be this other person where we're going to, or this other circumstance where we're going to experience what we are looking for, right? As if what we were looking for was not already here. So when we get engaged with that, you see, that's the challenge. That's why we need inquiry, because when we get engaged with that idea that yes, there is some other time, there is some other place, there is some other situation, we have to do something. There's something really important and we have to do it. And then we're going to find what we are looking for. When we engage with that, that's when we experience suffering. And again, just to clarify, suffering, we use that word in many different ways. And I want to say, when I speak about suffering, I mean a movement away from our true nature. When I say suffering, I mean an inability to be here just the way we are in a moment. And also, when I say suffering, I don't necessarily mean pain. Because, human condition, pain, physical, mental, emotional arises here. And within that, there can either be suffering, which really is the resistance to what is, or there can be peace. And so when I say suffering, I also don't mean difficult life circumstances, for example, which we all experience, life, part of life. Challenges happen and difficult things happen, and it's just, again, human condition, right? And within that, there can either be suffering, which is really the resistance to others, or there can be just peace and rest within that. So that's why we have this very powerful process of inquiry, because when I say to inquire, I mean to change the direction of your looking. You see, suffering is an inner state, right? When it happens within, it gets projected. And then we look outside and we go like, oh, this is suffering. Or we look within and we say, oh, this is suffering. But suffering is really a movement away from our true nature. It's, an inner state, right? So inquiry, when I say inquiry, I mean to change the direction of your looking. And instead of looking out there, that's what it looks like. It looks like it's out there. But instead of looking out, we want to look in. And not only look in, because sometimes we look in a way of judgment. What's wrong? Why is it like this? Why am I like that, right? What's happening? But we want to look in a way of really understanding and identifying this movement away from presence. Because when you identify that, and when you are able to be here, just be here, just the way you are. That's it. You see, that's the end of suffering in a moment. So rather than, continuing the engagement, interpretation, story, what does it mean? Why? Why are we here? What's happening? Why is it this way? Why all this, right? Instead of that, notice that movement away from presence. Beautiful, beautiful. And then presence naturally, right? Naturally reveals itself here. It's natural. So before we go into practicing together, I want to say a couple more words just about what I call the capacity of the nervous system. Because here we are in a human body, and that birth in a human body is one of the prerequisites for freedom. And there are two reasons why, because one is we need the intellect. We all know how much trouble the intellect can be, but we really need it. We need it for discrimination. We need it for inquiry. Humans are the only species that can self-reflect, right? Who am I? What's going on? What's happening? And the other reason why human body is because we need the nervous system. We need to be able to experience the arising past. You see, like when we sit in inquiry, intellect, discrimination, look within, experience what's here, be present to it. And so often, this piece of what I call capacity of the nervous system, where it is about the capacity of the nervous system to experience what arises. So often, this is like the missing link for many people on the spiritual path. Because you come to satsang, you have a wonderful experience, presence, and then somehow you can't really quite get there, or you do different practices, or you even do inquiry. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's no capacity to sustain that. And it's because if the nervous system doesn't have a certain capacity to be here with what is, when past arises, it's going to take your attention away from here. So to embody presence, to allow that experience, the wonderful experience that we have when we sit in satsang, to become permanent. To be able to find presence again when challenges are here, when circumstances arise. It's very crucial to know how to be here, how to help your nervous system and your brain so that it can be here also. So we don't have to struggle, with that peace, and we can just come and rest in presence again. So I wonder, maybe we do some questions first, if there are any questions about this, and then we practice inquiry, do you think? Or maybe, I said a lot of things, maybe there's some questions about that, or
yeah. Sorry, there's something not quite right with the audio today, Neelam. I'm not sure. Maybe it would help if you sat a little bit closer to the computer. Yeah, because there's a lot of interference. So there is somebody who would like to come onto the Hangout and do inquire with you, Neelam.
That's fine.
So what I can do is publish the Hangout link. It'll just take me a minute.
Okay.
So Anna wanted to come on to the Hangout. Basically, Anna, see whether you can refresh the YouTube page, because I posted a link, and YouTube sometimes takes a bit of time to post what somebody has posted. So by refreshing the page, you will find the link. And this goes for everybody. You simply click on the link and you will have to agree to, join. And there's something else that you have to agree to. If you can, please put a headset on, because that will help.
Something else that you have to.
Yeah. So Anna, please close down your YouTube watch page. I can hear interference from your YouTube watch page. So I just had to mute you. Okay, you muted it. All right, and we have Manish here too. So very good. So I think I'll just let the two of you get on with the inquiry.
Anna, is that going to work now? Hi. Can you hear me?
Hello, Anna. Can you say something? So, very good. I think. Okay, so Kuma, you're going to have to close your YouTube watch page, please. Okay. All right. So Neelam, just go ahead with Anna, please.
Okay. Can you hear me, Anna?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Beautiful. So we're going to do a little process of inquiry, but I want you to think about a situation where suffering is present. But I want you to find something that, on a scale from 1 to 10, is maybe just about a 3 or 4. We don't want to start with like the biggest, most challenging situation ever, right? We want to find something that's a little smaller, so that we can practice. Like when you learn to drive a car, you don't start just by driving on a freeway, you kind of go on a parking lot somewhere and practice, right?
Yeah.
So do you have something like that, Anna, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
So before we start, I want you to take a little moment just to be here, just to notice what it is like just sitting here right now. Good. Just notice presence. You can notice your body sitting here also, you know. Yeah.
Very quiet.
Good. Beautiful, beautiful. And are your feet on the ground also, or where are your
Yes.
feet? So just notice your feet on the ground. Yeah. Beautiful. Lovely, lovely. This is really the beginning of inquiries. Always, why don't we just come here where we are, right? And just notice what it is like to be here first. Good. Beautiful. Like that. Lovely. So tell me about that situation. You know, on a scale from 1 to 10, about 3 or 4, where suffering is present, because that's when we do inquiry. We do inquiry when suffering is here. We don't do inquiry just just do it. We do it when suffering arises. Okay. So tell us a little bit about that situation. Tell us a little bit what it is.
It's about when desire comes up, and there's this idea that desire is going to cause trouble.
Oh.
And I'm afraid of following this desire, like flirting with someone or getting attention from someone.
So it's relational, right? Relational desire. It's about flirting with somebody or getting attention from somebody. Beautiful, beautiful. And then there's a worry that if you follow on that desire, there's something wrong about this. So when that desire arises within you, Anna, what kind of experience is that? What is the experience? And when I say what is the experience, I'm really curious about how does it show up in your body, you know? Because the physiology gets affected by what arises. So like, what happens when you have that desire?
Like wanting to express love and have someone to hug. And at the same time, I think I'm going to somehow lose presence or
Right. Go a little slower because there are two things and we want to take one at a time.
Yeah.
When you say want to express love, like, do you sense it in your whole body, or is it just in a certain part of your body, or is it where's that experience wanting to express love?
I haven't thought about it.
Yes, I know, I understand. But you see, because otherwise we are just thinking about it, you know? We just think like, I want to express love and I have this and I have that. And I want us to come more here, you know? What is the experience here?
Right now, I feel it in my belly.
Okay. In your belly. Beautiful.
I can move my belt.
And the movement out there. So let's just feel that for now. Let's just take a moment for that. Because that's what happens, you see. If you want it or not, if it's smart or not, if it's good or not, it doesn't matter, but it happens, right? So we want to just take the moment and really sense that in your body. Good. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so what happens here, Anna? And I'm just checking. I'm not, I'm just curious about your experience. Right? I'm not looking for anything. What happens?
There's shakiness.
Of course, of course, of course. Well, first of all, what happens is when we allow it, it's like, see, love is already here, right? So you're just allowing it because it's here. It's already here. Otherwise, it's just mental. Should I? Shouldn't I? Should it be? Should it not be? Well, it's here. That's the first thing, right? So now that you're allowing it, there's a little shakiness in your body. Can you just notice that, Anna? And keep your eyes open, though, sweetheart. Your brain needs a little contact with the environment. And shakiness, like where do you notice that? Is it like all over or?
My stomach, around it.
In your stomach, yes. Shakiness. Where else do you notice it?
Oh, that part, the abdomen.
Okay. Over here also. Okay. Beautiful.
My hands.
Your hands, lovely, lovely. Yes, yes. So if that's okay with you, Anna, let's just have that shakiness. Let's just have it here. As long as you are okay with it, let's just have it here. Keep your eyes open. Stay here in it. Stay here. Good, good, good. So what just happened when you allow that shakiness to be here? What happened?
It's quiet.
What is it? Quiet, right? That is very funny, right? Because we are afraid of this, that's past. The past is afraid. But when you allow it, it's just here. No problem. Quiet. So I have another question for you, and that is it okay that that's what's present? Is that okay with you? Are you okay with that? When this love arises, when it feels certain way, and then there's these sensations and shakiness and all that, is that okay with you? Are you okay with that? And I'm not asking the mind, because we can think, yeah, am I okay? Am I not okay? But like really ask that question inside of yourself. Within, like, are you really okay that that's what's present? And love is arising. Is that okay? What do you say, sweetheart? Inside, not in your thinking, but when you look within, is it okay that it's like that?
Yeah.
Yes? I don't have a preference. You can either go yes or no, but I'm curious about what is. I'm just curious, Like, are you okay with it? Is it okay?
Well, I used to think that it was wrong, but now it's like it's okay.
Beautiful. Because if it's okay, then we don't have to do anything. We just be here. And all we need to do is just be here. Yeah, beautiful. And you see, in the past, it was not okay for this to be here. Right? So that's why there is suffering or anxiety or worry. Right? But now we are just here. We are just letting it be here. Right? we'll see what happens. You know, we don't have to do anything, but let's just let it be here. Good, beautiful. So just take another moment, Anna, and just see what is it like right now. What is it like? What is it like?
It comes and goes.
Say it against me.
It comes and goes. Shaking it.
I'm not feeling the words.
Oh, it comes and goes.
It comes and goes. What comes and goes?
The shakiness.
I'm still not feeling the word.
Shaking.
The shakiness. Okay, that's normal. That's natural. The nervous system, you know, it's working. That's how it works. It means it's doing its job. You know, shaking. Let's just sit here a little longer, Anna. Let's just sit a little longer with this shaking.
There's something that comes up. And I heard something that you said about the movement that comes from presence,
Mm-hmm.
or not movement that comes from presence.
Yes, yes.
And when I see myself doing things out of desire and this wanting to be complete, but through experiences, I judge myself and I say, well, this is not it. Like, maybe it doesn't come from presence.
But this is all thinking, right? This is you just really evaluating what's here. You're thinking about it. Is this good that I'm feeling this way, or is this bad that I'm feeling this way? Is it good that this is arising, or is it bad that this is arising? But that's just happening in your thinking. And what I'm asking is, instead of thinking, can we come and be present to this experience? Can we just be here? Because for whatever reason, it's here, you know? I don't know what is the reason for it, but it's here. Good, beautiful. So all you need to do is just keep coming back here, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen. You know, this is not in our control, and it's not in our. We shouldn't be. We don't need to be engaged with what's going to happen. It's just our thinking. Is it going to go this way, or is it going to go that way? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? This is all just thinking. Right? When you see yourself thinking like that, tell yourself what I really want is to be here. What I want is to be here. Let's see. I don't know which way it's going to go. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen. You see. But we know that we can be here, right? We know that. Judgment is the past also. Judgment. When we say it shouldn't be here, that's like saying, well, my arm shouldn't be here, but it's here. Right? It's like, well, what to do? It's here, no, but it shouldn't be here. No, but it is here. So no point in judging either. Beautiful, beautiful. So what is it like right now, Anna? What is it like? What is it like?
Resting and resting every time everything arises, shaking.
It's shaking is okay. It's just your body working. It's your nervous system working. But what was the word before shaking? What did you say? What did you
resting. That was, yeah, it's resting. There's a part that is always resting.
resting? Resting. Notice that. And the shaking, you know, that's just how the nervous system discharges energy. It lets go of energy by shaking. And we have a lot of social conditioning that tells us it's not okay to shake. We have been told it's not okay to do this, it's not okay to do that. But the body needs to shake. See? It needs to shake to move the energy. So let it. Just let it shake. Mm-hmm. Good. So what just happened right now?
Very, very quiet. It's quiet, very quiet.
Let's just notice the quiet. You can close your eyes if you want now. That's okay. Good, beautiful. So do you have a little sense, Anna, of how to do this? Because, you know, before it was just judgment, you know. This is not okay, it shouldn't be here. And what I'm saying is it's here. Let's be here. Let's have it be here.
So beautiful.
Say that again.
So beautiful. You know,
Yes, it is beautiful. Yes.
the simpler the truth, the deeper it is.
Say that again, Anna. Say it again.
I was saying that the simpler the truth, the deeper it is.
Of course, of course. That's good. I like that. That's really good.
Thank you very much.
Yes, beautiful. And you know, it's not always easy to do it like that, but that's what we can learn, right? We can learn how to do it. It takes time, like anything else we have learned. We can train our attention. We can learn how to do this so that we have more and more capacity to just do this instead of judgment, or instead of just moving with it. We say, okay, let's just be here. And we learn what does it mean to be here? How do we do this? You know? Slowly, slowly, right? We learn. We can just be here. We don't have to go anywhere. We have to do it.
Thank you, Neelam.
Thank you, Jana. Thank you. It's so nice to see you. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Neelam. That was a beautiful, beautiful demonstration.
Mm-hmm.
So before we continue with people on the Hangout, there's two more people. I'd like to go to the YouTube comment thread. There's 2 questions there.
Please.
And I'll just put these to you, Neelam. So Jake has a question. I don't know whether that's close enough to inquiry, but here it is. Please talk about the law of attraction.
In what sense? What's the context? Because that's a very broad, it's a very big question. Like, in what context, law of attraction? Because, you know, just give me a little more if you can, Jake.
Okay, Jake. So basically, I'll ask you to come back to Neelam on the YouTube thread. And while you do this, what I'll do is ask the other question. So the other question, Jake says, does it really work or is it just woo-woo?
But again, in what context? Like, do you want something in particular in life, or like what? You know, law of attraction, like meaning what? Meaning if you think certain things, then certain things are going to happen, or because this is such a big subject, you know, law of attraction, that I want some context. Like, where are you coming from asking that question? Does it work in what way? Are you trying it in your life? And what are you trying? Tell me. What is the procedure you have for that? Maybe I can learn something new.
So Jake says, yes, exactly that. Not sure what that means. Jake, I think you...
So this law of attraction, thinking something and thinking that that's going to manifest. Well, I'm just going to answer it very broadly because I don't know what exactly is the question that Jake has exactly, but I want to say very broadly, I want to ask you, what is the reason? Why do you want to attract certain things into your life?
So Jake says on the YouTube thread, the general things, money, love, and all the worldly things.
But why do you need it? Why? What is the reason? Why do you want to attract it?
Jake, can I suggest if you want, you can come onto the Hangout. You can stay just with audio. You don't have to put your video on. That way you could really interact with Neelam more closely.
That would be best, because then we could really go through this process, you know. I could really work this through, because the fundamental question for anybody is, why would you want something other than what is here? What would be the reason for that? But why?
Well, Neelam, maybe you can continue on that thread. I think that's a good start in answering that question.
Because it's a very broad question in that way. You know, why would we want anything different than it is? This is the beginning, you know. So law of attraction, I can say for sure it works to a certain degree. Yes, mind is a very powerful thing, you know. We can manifest in that way, right? But the question is, why would you want it? What is in your life right now? Because you see, the sense of I or ego is really based in deficiency. Regardless if it is, you know, if it is feeling very powerful and positive, or if it's feeling very small and insignificant and really negative, the sense of I, the foundation of it is deficiency. The foundation of it is it's lacking something. It's lack. It's not. Something is missing. That's the foundation of it. Something is not here. It should be different. So when I would really be more curious about you investigating why and at what times in your life do you want to attract something that is not here? What's wrong basically with what is here? Because this is really the deeper inquiry. The deeper inquiry is you go through your life and things are okay, more or less, and then suddenly you feel like, I need something. I need love, I need money, I need this, I need that, I need recognition, I need whatever. But you want it, you need it because in the moment you are experiencing the lack of something, that something is not here. And what I'm saying is that in our fundamental, in our true nature, everything is here already. So if you are experiencing that something is missing and you need something, then I would say you have moved away from your natural state. You are not really resting in your true nature. Because when you're resting in your true nature, you don't need anything. Everything is already here. So rather than focusing on, does law of attraction work? Because it does to a certain degree, but it's limited. And it's limited in the way that, the sense of I, the sense of ego can never be truly fulfilled. So yes, mind can manifest and we can have more of certain experiences in life, but the sense of I is always going to feel that it's missing. So why not, rather than doing that, why not find the source of everything? And why not be in a state in which nothing is missing? That's what I would be more curious about, because if something is missing, then your mind has moved away from your natural state. And I will be more interested in how to come back to the natural state and how to manifest something. Because yes, we can, and so it's not permanent, you see. It's not a permanent solution to anything.
Neelam, so
yeah.
Jake says, apologies, but I don't have cam and mic. I just want to know if it really works or not. Why do I want? I just want to know if it really works or not.
No. That's a cop-out.
And
no.
Hold on, Neelam.
Not a conversation. Yes.
I was just going to continue. So he says, why does he want to know? To enjoy new experiences.
Oh.
And then he just put another comment that says, that's very helpful. Thank you.
These are such a good story today. No,
I think he heard you.
It's not because you want to enjoy new experiences. It's because somewhere fundamentally you're not knowing that everything is okay just the way it is. Because you are not resting in a state in which you would know that everything is provided, you see. That is really the investigation. That is really the inquiry. Right? Everything else is not worth your time. Unless you want to keep coming back, birth, death, and do it again, what I mean, countless times, yes, please go ahead then. But if you're really interested in truth and freedom, you will be interested in finding the state in which everything already is. See? We don't need nothing. It's already here. Everything is new. Every moment. See, it's new. Good. Anything else from there?
I think he heard you, Neelam. That's also Peter from Vancouver, who says he met you and filmed an early satsang with you in Vancouver.
Sure.
So here's his question. When I was young, I was a committed Christian, and I had the happiest part of my life when I felt a deep connection and trust to the Holy Spirit.
Sure.
I see now this may be just living in presence. Is this so?
Mm-hmm. Well, the key is, when you said you were a committed Christian, the key is committed. Right? That's the word, committed. Right? You were deeply committed to, and fill in the blank, presence, being here, God, love. It doesn't really, the words are not so important, right? But the deep commitment is what made you really stay here. Because that's really what focuses and trains our attention. When I speak about like birth in a human body is a prerequisite for freedom, then desire for freedom is another prerequisite, right? And desire for freedom is not something that is where we desire something external. At first, it looks like it's external, but it's the only desire that actually brings us back here. Right? So when you say committed, that's the key. You have that strong desire for this, and so that desire was keeping your attention here. That's what made you really happy, right? So being here, right? So of course, put presence in, or put being here in, or put whatever, but being here, really. Right? Yes, that is so. Yes. Did he say anything else? Or?
No, the question was asked some time ago, so we have a little time lag. So, Peter, if you want to come back to Neelam, feel free to do that. And maybe in the meantime, what I'll do is call on Manish. Manish, would you like to ask a question to Neelam? I'll unmute you.
Hello, Manish, are you here?
Let me see.
I'm not sure that he's here.
Yeah, okay. Let's see about Kumar. Kumar, would you like to ask a question? Let's see what I can unmute. Yeah, I need to.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Manish.
Hi.
Kumar.
Hi.
It's what is the purpose? See, we usually get caught into a lot of whether it is work or whether it is outside activities and all. But once we realize and once we understand that presence is very important. So just as you are saying, it is the most important thing. So we need to be in the presence all the time. Is that the goal of life?
Yeah, let me just
Ultimate
ask.
purpose?
Okay, let me just ask first. Where are you? Where are you calling from? Where are you?
I'm in India. India.
In India. Where in India?
Mumbai.
Where?
Uh,
Okay.
in Mumbai, and I had the opportunity to go and be at the Papaji's ashram, or
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
I have been watching a lot of videos of him, and um and it has been really good actually. Present moment.
Of course. And in the deepest sense, to know freedom is the true purpose of our life. That's the deepest purpose we really have. Freedom.
Sorry. Can you repeat that?
Freedom is the true purpose
Yes.
of our life. That is the real purpose that we have. See,
Right.
that's purpose. Right? We get a little confused because there's so many things arising. So many responsibilities, so many different things. We think it's maybe about this or maybe about that, but it's really about realizing your true nature. That's the deepest purpose of this life. Once that purpose is realized, then everything else is secondary. Right?
Understood. Yes. And as you said, it will take care of us.
It does already.
Yeah.
It already does. We don't. It doesn't matter what we think. We think it
It's
does
on.
take care. We think it doesn't take care. It doesn't matter. It already does take care. It
Right.
already takes care.
So it's only the mind sometimes which comes up and shows us the doubt of the future. What will happen about this? What will happen about these things?
Yes, that's only the mind, and that's what I call the past, right?
Right.
See, I call future the past also, because the doubt and the worry is based on your past experience.
Yeah.
It's not based on the future because you don't know the future. It's only based on your past, right?
I have not seen the future. So how can I interpret that?
Exactly, exactly. So
Yeah.
that's why it's better to stay here, right? That's why it's better to
Right.
stay here because that's all we have, really, right?
Yeah.
We don't have the past anymore. It's not here anymore. It
Yeah.
shows up
Right.
as an experience, but it's not here. The future is not here
Right.
either, right?
Right.
Mm. It's-
Yeah. Both are not there.
exactly, exactly. But what is here is just here, just present, right? That's what we have. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And it is so relaxing, so liberating actually.
Yes, it's beautiful, beautiful. So just notice that, Kumar, right now. Just notice that here, here it is. Right? So
Yes.
just take a moment here, Kumar. We are not in a hurry. Just take a little moment. So what do you say? So like this, right? You can come back here. Come back here anytime you want to.
Right. And suddenly, you know becoming aware of the silence around me.
Yes, of course. It's natural, right? Silence is natural.
Yeah. So anytime the mind is taking me to the future, I will say there is no future, there is no, it is based on the past. So I just come here, that's it.
anytime you see this outgoing tendency, because it's a tendency, it just wants to go there, it wants to go there, it wants to go to the past, it wants to go to the future, and you say, that's okay, we don't control the mind, because if you control it, it's going to get stronger. But you just look at it and you go, okay, well, I see it, but that's not my interest. My interest is to come here.
Yeah.
Please come here, because here is already everything, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Understood.
So like that, would you do it like this, you think? Yes.
And
Yes,
sorry, I didn't get that.
Would you do it like that, Kumar? Would you do it like this? Yes, please.
Yes.
Just like that, okay?
Yes.
Good. Beautiful. Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Kumar, for coming on. Must be very late in India.
Yes.
Or
It's
early.
around
Late
going to
or
be
early?
1 o'clock in the night.
Mm, yes. So thank you for coming on and sharing your question. I'm always touched. I just need to say this. I'm always touched by people joining these events from all over the world. Like Anna is joining us from Peru. Neelam from North America. I'm from North America. Often we have people from Europe. And it's just beautiful to come together like this, in this moment, and really just discover that we're all here together and not really separate even. Because, your question, Kuma, is everybody else's question. And Anna, and so thank you. Namaste. I have to say, I was in India for the first time earlier this year, and I love being there. So I have to smile just because of that.
That was your first time. Oh, India.
Sorry, Neelam?
I said that was your first time. That's amazing. India is great. I love India.
Yes, it's
I wish
beautiful.
I was there, was able to travel again. I love India.
Yes, but you must have gotten a big dose of it when you were there.
Many times, but I would always go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd just like to return quickly to the YouTube comment thread, since I have the moderating function between all of these different channels. There's Peter came back to you.
Okay.
Neelam saying that is so amazing about your answer. Thank you. And he says, I have spent my whole life seeking through all religions and beliefs, now arriving back at presence and simplicity. And he has one more question.
Okay.
If there's one more question, it would be about the nervous system relating to PTSD. Oh dear, I'm lacking the precise term right now. The trauma, past trauma syndrome, and how it appears to take one's attention away from presence.
It's actually post-traumatic
Post-traumatic stress
It's
disorder.
okay,
Yes.
it's okay. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Well, the brain, the way the brain functions and the nervous system, you know, PTSD, like any other experience that arises here, affects the way the nervous system and the brain functions. And oftentimes these are, because brain and the nervous system are really geared towards the survival of this body. So that's the function of the brain, you know, to make sure that the body survives. Same with the nervous system. So usually when experiences arise here, any type of trauma, any type of past, that includes PTSD, these are going to be very strong experiences because they have not been fully processed. So neither the brain doesn't have discrimination. You see, when a past experience, that's the definition of trauma, right? It's not about the events of the past. It's about when something arises and it hasn't been fully processed. The brain would experience it as if it was happening right now. See? It doesn't have a discrimination. It can't tell you this is the past. That's why these experiences are so challenging when they arise, because it feels like, it looks like, it seems like, unconsciously, because we are not even aware that something is happening right now. Right? And so, again, because it seems to be affecting our ability to survive on that physical level, you know, the nervous system, the brain gets challenged in its, you know, in the body gets challenged in its survival. That's why these are very strong states, you see. And that is what has the power, of course, like any strong state that arises here, you know, to take our attention away, you know, from being present. And so rather, again, than struggling with it or trying for it to be different or wanting it to go away, we want to really understand it better first. Realize that that's our brain, that's our nervous system. It just does the best it can. You can't do it any different, you see, for now. Because eventually, so this is the first step, understand what it is. It's an experience that arises that feels like as if it was happening right now. And the second step is to understand the nervous system a little bit more and know that you can be, first of all, you can help it to be here. And then you can be present to it as it arises. And over time, with this kind of presence, the PTSD lessens. Because, not because you want it to go away, but because you have been present here with it. Right? And even the nervous system can learn to be here too. The nervous system and the brain can learn also, like, oh, okay, we can be here. And then, you know, discrimination is very powerful. Like when I was saying in the beginning, you know, we need intellect for discrimination. It's very powerful because you can recognize the symptoms of the past. You can just learn to notice when past arises, when PTSD arises, when trauma symptoms arise. You can say, this is the past. Or you can say, I just got triggered. Or you can say, the past has arisen, right? Something like that. And that is a very powerful discrimination because, see, the brain on its own is not going to be able to do that. It just doesn't have the capacity, right? So when you do it, when you say, I'm triggered, PTSD is here, past is here, trauma is here, trauma symptoms are here, that creates spaciousness already because we are starting to come into alignment with being present, you know? So you're already in alignment with your experience, like, oh yeah, that's what's happening, right? Can I be here? And then the second step is then, can I be here? Can I notice the shakiness or the contraction or the, a discomfort that arises, or the thoughts that are happening, or the emotions, or the heat or coldness in the body, or whatever is going on. Can I actually notice that? Because when you can notice that, then you're going to be able to be here. See? And then you're going to be able to come to rest within that experience also. So everything, everything is possible, but it just takes time. It just takes understanding first, and then skill, and then, being able to do it. So, yeah, I hope that helps.
Yes. Peter says, perfect, so helpful. When I sit with nervous system triggered, the sensations are strong, but it seems to work in the present moment to clear and process an excess energy. Wow.
But if the sensations are strong, you need to really resource in the present. Keep your eyes open. Notice the general sense of your body. Orient in the environment. Don't go right away into the strongest sensations. Just resource and learn. This is a learning. When I do my programs, like we have a 6-week program coming up on where I teach inquiry, where I do my 6-month programs. I teach people how to do this. This one thing that I teach. Resource in the environment. Don't go immediately into the most difficult sensations, but learn to give the space to the brain, to the nervous system, so that it can learn slowly how to be here. So then it has the capacity to be present to the arising experience.
That's great. Thank you, Neelam. And there's a question that's related by Carol Misera. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. She asks, do you have any suggestions or practices that help strong energy in the body?
Strong energy related to, is it related to something, or is it?
The question was asked a while ago, so Carol, maybe you could come back to Neelam and be more specific.
Related.
What kind of strong energy are you speaking about? She says Kundalini.
Okay, so, and did that happen? Did you do some practices for the Kundalini to happen, to rise, or?
Carol, could you, if possible, could you come onto the hangout? I'm just waiting to see whether whether she's responding to you.
If I can say some general things about Kundalini, but that's why it's good to know a little more, because you never know what is really the cause,
Hmm. Yeah, she's not coming back with anything else. So I don't know whether you can respond to the question like this.
It's a challenging energy, very, very challenging, and it can be very disruptive too. So sometimes it gets started with certain practices, unfortunately, right now there's a lot of different things going on in the world. People do all sorts of experiments. They trigger Kundalini, but there's no follow through, or there's no teaching or capacity to how to be present to it, Papaji.
So Nina, Carol says it started 23 years ago on its own. And she also says she tried to get on the Hangout, but can't seem to get on it. And actually, you know, I know somebody myself who basically just had Kundalini arising spontaneously by itself, and finds that quite challenging also.
Because it's a very disruptive energy, you know, and it can be very damaging for the nervous system and the brain because it's so strong. And when I say there's, you know, because I have seen a lot of people, that's why I said that, who have done some kind of Kundalini yoga or Kundalini this or Kundalini that, and then there's no, the people that are teaching that they don't have a capacity to follow through, right? But I understand spontaneous awakening of Kundalini. I understand. What was her name again? Tell me.
Carol.
No,
Carol is there.
I would not work with Kundalini. I would. It was something that I was helping with right now. I would work on how to grow the capacity of the nervous system to be. I wouldn't even come near the Kundalini energy itself. But by working with the nervous system, because the energy is disruptive, you know, but by working with the nervous system, and ultimately, you know, Kundalini is a desire for presence, you know, it's a desire to awaken, it's a desire to know the truth, right? It's just that, you know, Papaji used to explain, you can work with towards enlightenment through Kundalini, but he said you have to live in very refined circumstances, like top of Himalayas somewhere, and only eat certain foods, and that would take years for the nervous system to refine in a way that it can really handle this energy, right? So because we can't do that right now, and I have worked with several people that have Kundalini, because we can't do that path right now, I would say rather than engaging with Kundalini, I would engage with the nervous system. And I would work with how to strengthen it and how to grow its capacity to be here. You see, because Kundalini is like a vortex of energy. It's like trauma almost, you know? Like our attention wants to go there. And I would say, no, let's not go there, let's come here. See? But it's not just mentally to understand, but it's to actually do it experientially in your own body, how to teach the nervous system how to be here, so that eventually there's enough container for the Kundalini. Right? Right now, when Kundalini awakens like this, it's very disruptive because it shows up and it goes and does whatever it does. You know, there's no, right? And if there's no capacity, then it just, the body would shake, or this would happen, or that would happen, you know. But if we work on the nervous system and its capacity to be here, that's what would create container for Kundalini also. So that would be, if I was working with it, that would be my goal. And I had several students who had Kundalini awakenings, you know. And that's how we worked.
You know, I just thank you for that answer. I find that very helpful because, you know, somehow the sense I get from people who work with Kundalini is, you know, there's always an idea of what you have to do and how to get to a state where the Kundalini is, you know, more integrated or whatever. And it's really taking people away from just, like you say, just being with what happens in the moment. And if it's strong, it's strong. If it's not so strong, it's not so strong.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like, I mean, at any one point in time, you know, Kundalini is what it is. And rather than think one has to do something with it, why not simply let it do its thing? Because there clearly is some natural intelligence there that makes that happen.
Even more than that, I would just not engage. You see, I would really, it's like retraining of your attention, because Kundalini can be so absorbing, all absorbing, and that's nobody's fault that it's so absorbing, is the energy itself is so strong. But I would, rather than engage it, I would say, let's work with your capacity to be here. Because that's a movement away from any kind of past. That includes Kundalini, right? So.
Yes, that's beautifully clear. Thanks, Neelam. And I think I feel it's very helpful because people can really get caught up in this Kundalini awakening experience and arising, and even if it's not that strong, even if it's some energy moving in the body, they can get very preoccupied with that, and or lack of energy in the body, which is some form of illness, or and really I find it so helpful that you keep bringing people back to just here, just this, just what is here right now. It's powerful in its simplicity. Neelam, there's one more question, which is a bit kind of out of what we've been talking about, but I want to put it to you because April put it on the YouTube thread. It's April asking if the goal is not to return from the heavens because we have awakened, who will help those who are here on the earth to know such truths? Do we not have to return to the earth to know? Do we not have to return to the earth to help?
Well, there's a lot of assumptions in that question. And interestingly, I had a conversation with somebody recently where I was sharing that after being with Papaji and after my own awakening, when I came back to the States, I went to visit different teachers, just spontaneously, just went to different people teaching. And I went to see this Buddhist Lama, actually a Western man, who was holding a program. And I listened to him, and then later I came up after the program and I asked if I can ask some questions. And I said, it looks like you have to retain some kind of subtle body to be able to keep incarnating, right? Because otherwise, what is there? There's just nothing. When you are here, there's nothing. There's no desire for anything, right? And he said, that's exactly right. Because I said, the final dissolution, this solution is just being here, And he said, that's exactly right. They postpone that final enlightenment, right? In order to keep incarnating, to bring in the teaching, right? So of course there is that, what is called the vow, to help all sentient beings, right? And Papaji was very clear. He said, do not take that vow. Do not take that vow to help all sentient beings, because that is obviously something that would keep us in the cycle, right? And my question to you, April, is that really a desire to help all sentient beings, or is it a desire to remain still in some kind of form? Because that would be a curious thing. And I would say ultimately, we don't have to worry about who's going to help. This is also another misunderstanding, like, how is it all working right now? How is it that there's so many beings on the planet that have awakened and are sharing the truth, and or beings that have incarnated here to share the truth, So we don't have these are not our worries, if we have to if we are thinking that, we are already in the future, you see. And like in my own experience, all I consider is here, you know, like all I can, you know, my main, you know, motto is, can I be here? You know, I'm not interested in any future. You know, I'm not interested in what's going to happen with this life. I'm not interested in what's going to happen with the next life, or is there going to be a next life? I'm not interested in what, you know, is this going to help anybody or not? I'm not interested in any of that. You know, I'm just interested in being here. Right? And if that in turn works, you know, and it helps and it does something, well, that's great, you know. But if it doesn't, that's also not my business, you see, because my business is being here, right? My business is not doing anything. And so, you know, if I get into the business of doing something, then that's a misunderstanding, you know. So my this is my broader answer, but my question to you is, why are you worrying about that? Why are you worrying about this? What is it in you that worries about that people, that beings on the planet are not going to have the help that they need? How come? Where is that coming from? You know? And that is something to look at and address, because when we are here, I mean, unless there is a strong movement for me to share, which there is, if there wasn't, I wouldn't be sitting here speaking to you. But other than that, there is really no desire, you know what I mean, for anything, like, especially not for something in the future, right? So what would be that, you know, what is the motivation? I would be curious. You know, why isn't there a sense of deep okayness that all the beings on the planet are being taken care of? Because that really is the truth. See, it would be good in those questions where if I could interact, but this, you know, this we can do the best we can.
Well, I think, you know, I think the answer is clear enough, and maybe maybe that's enough to point the question in a certain direction.
Yeah, and another answer to it would be, you can help everybody. And what is stopping you right now from helping everybody? That's another way to answer that question.
So thank you, Neelam. And you know, we're coming close to the hour, so I suggest we'll leave it here. And I'd just like to invite you, well, to ask you whether there's anything you want to say, you know, that you feel still needs to be said in this moment.
I just want to invite everybody to check out some of the programs that we have this summer. We have a couple more calls. You just go to my website and just look, it's all posted there, neelam.org. I'm also teaching a 6-week inquiry program this summer where I teach how to do inquiry and how to work with the nervous system or the energy or different things that arise here. There are actually 4 meetings in person and 2 meetings through a pre-recorded video. So that's happening. There's also a program for returning students, but that's for students who have done my inquiry programs or longer programs before. And in the winter, I do the 6-month programs. This is how I like to work. I like to work in longer programs because I find that this is the most efficient use of my energy right now, is to have people for a longer time. So I can really teach them, and they can go through the transformation of knowing presence and knowing how to embody presence. So these programs usually start in October. And other than that, I want to thank you, Grace, for hosting, and And just invite everybody to presence, because presence is here, so we can always, but it doesn't matter where we are or what we are doing, we can always connect here. So I just want that. um, I just want to invite you to that.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much, Neelam, for that invitation and for really um, I don't know how to say this, for being willing to engage with the questions and with people in the moment in this process of inquiry, because that's that's really how we learn to inquire, is by seeing it happening, by hearing it happening, by simply being there, and something transmits itself through that. So thank you so much for that. And from my side, it's a pleasure to do these events with you. I think it's the fourth time we've done that. And so if you want to find out more about Neelam's activities, go to our website, neelam.org. And if you've enjoyed this this event or this video, and you would like to make a donation towards the Living from Love series and my efforts in bringing non-dual spiritual teachers to you live and on video, I'd be very grateful for you to make a donation. You can do so on the Living from Love website. There's a donate page there. And thank you to everybody for participating, for asking your questions, for being here, and for coming onto the Hangout. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Kumar. It's a beautiful, beautiful way of being with each other. So thank you again. And the next event is going to be next Sunday with Amodama on Fully Awake and Fully Human. Until then, bye-bye.